In this video, guys, we're going to look at how to draw trend lines correctly. Stay tuned. Hey traders and investors, a very warm welcome to you. Welcome back. If you are subscribed to the channel, thank you for your support. If you're new here, first time you've seen the videos, consider subscribing for loads of videos. We'll talk about trading, we'll talk about strategies, psychology, all the stuff you need to become a better trader. Alright, so today I want to talk a little bit about trend lines. Now trend lines, you're going to have an argument. If you're at the bar and with another trader and you're chatting trading, you will argue forever about what is the correct way or how is the correct way to draw trend lines. Some people will say it has to be very accurate on highs and lows. Others will say as long as it's intersecting the most, that doesn't matter. So let's have a look at both actual ways of drawing trend lines. Now, the official way, if you like, is that you draw on the high or two highs. So you gather two highs together and then you extrapolate that out. So for example, let's have a look at this FTSE 100. Okay, I've got FTSE 100 here, and if we were to scroll back to something that's got a kind of trend line that illustrates this point, and I'm going to go back to that other section in a moment because I want to show you, why I think we can adjust that way of looking at it. So here we go. A lot of people will draw a trend line like this. They will say, okay, there's a high, there's another high, that's now my trend line. And you can see that there is a little bit of an issue with that. Sometimes it fits quite nicely, like if you were to do it here, you'd say there's my first high, there's my second high. Oh, isn't that nice? That fits in with my third high. That becomes my trend line. I can sell it there. And you almost get a little bit of a trend line kiss here, but not quite. So the very precise way of doing it is to take the exact high, two exact highs, and extrapolate that out just like that. And obviously, if you're doing an uptrend as well, you'd have it here. So you'd have the right at the extreme, you'd have it here, then you'd extrapolate that line out. That would be your uptrend line. However, I think we can be a little bit more loose with it. If you see this example here on the FTSE, right, you've got your three kind of downtrends here. You can kind of extrapolate that out and extend that out a little bit more to gather in a few more of the highs. So you've got one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To me, there's your downtrend line for that chart. If you were examining this chart now and coming up to it, that would be my downtrend line. And then I'd see the kind of cluster of congestion here and the breakout and say, well, that's probably a breakout of the trend line. Does it carry on? And interestingly, it does come back and retest that trend line. So you get that kind of test, the test, the test, the test, the test, the test, breakout, retest, and then a fire up. So I recognise that we're cherry picking this a little bit, but just for illustration purposes. However, let's move on let's go back to the initial part of the FTSE and let's drag it over if we can still get it on the screen here. Okay, in this little uptrend, for example, here, for me, it makes more sense to get your trend line and kind of fit in what's going on. Don't be too best curve fitting with it, but that to me looks a much better trend line than someone who's going to go the exact highs and go a little bit higher. I would rather kind of get in most of the trade. And then I'd say, okay, well now we're testing the lower end of this trend line. Maybe it's broken, maybe it's not. Let's have a look at some currency pairs, because I know the USD JPY has had some interesting trend line breaks years back. So this will be interesting to see whether they were kind of real textbook stuff or there were other things different. Alright, so this is a good one. This is one I've got drawn in. You can see I've got it drawn on the chart. Let's get rid of this line here. So get rid of this one here. So USD JPY formed a high, and you could theoretically say, okay, well, here's my official way of doing it. I've got my first high, I've got my second high, so there's maybe my first high, there's my first high. Let me extrapolate that line down, and that actually worked quite nicely for this particular example. You've got tag 1, tag 2. You've almost got 3 tags, haven't you, there? And even the most hardened kind of trend line person would say, okay, that probably just about works. You're talking about thickness of your line here, aren't you? But in theory, when you extrapolate that out, that tags that high, it keeps kind of price contained. Is it a parallel trend channel? No, it's not really. It's just a nice downtrend line that we tested multiple times. When we came to break out of it, the breakout was a nice, clean, solid break. So the point of this video is this, guys. You've got two choices. You either take it very, very accurately. And by the way, a trend line always has to have an angle with it. If it's horizontal, it means it's a support and resistance line. It's not a trend line. If it's a trend line, you've got an angle to it. You either take two approaches. And is there a right, is there a wrong way? Is there the way I prefer to do it? There's a way others prefer to do it. People will say you have to be very accurate with each high. So 2 highs is all you need to start your trend line. You do 2 highs and you start to extend it down, just like we would do with this yen here. Your first high, your second high. In theory, I would say let's go to something a little bit of better example. It's more of a textbook example here. This is probably what textbook guys would say. There's your first high, there's your second high, there's your downtrend line, and extend that out. The problem I have with that, as I've said, is I feel that you don't get enough information there. You don't really see what's going on. To me, that okay, we are technically in a downtrend here, but the line is almost useless. I prefer to see constant tags, just like we had later on, of a level that you can kind of draw on and say, you know what, it contains most price. So the point is, you've got two options. You do very, very finite highs, very, very finite lows, or you say, you know what, as long as it contains most price, I'm going to use that as a kind of guide for me. At the end of the day, guys, there's only two ways you can trade trend lines ultimately. Okay, there's more, but two big ways. One is that you fade a tag of the trend. So as the trend line for a downtrend comes up to tag it from the low side, kisses it, you fade it, you go short for a pushback into the downtrend. The second way is you trade a break. So as we break out of the trend line, whether it's an uptrend or a downtrend, you trade it in the direction of the move. Whether that is a clean break out, or whether that's a retest and buy on the retest and then a further drive up. So there's only really two kind of ways you're doing it. So my advice is to use the best strategy that fits, or should I say the best technique for drawing trend lines that fits your trading strategy. If your trading strategy is to buy breakouts, maybe you want to encourage more kind of price, much more tags of price, and be a little bit more flexible on whether that breaks through or not. If you're maybe fading extremes, perhaps you can use the other strategy. The point is, guys, choose the one that works for you. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I don't want to get into arguments with it. If someone argues with me about trend lines, I'll say, hey, whatever works for you guys. But those are two general ways of doing them, drawing trend lines: the definitive highs or the kind of trend line that gathers in most price. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. See you later. Take care. Bye bye.